Welcome to Don't Visit Europe, the only travel channel where postcards are lies, Google reviews are stand-up comedy, and your bucket list, probably just a trap. Today we're talking about Paris's favorite iron mistake, the Eiffel Tower, or as I like to call it, France's overpriced coat hanger with a queue. You've seen it in photos, on movie posters, and overpriced engagement shoots on Instagram. But have you ever tried to visit it? Really visit it, like take the metro, stand in line for 2 hours behind a school group from Ohio, pay 30 euros to go up a metal cage, and then realize the best view of Paris doesn't include the Eiffel Tower because you're standing on it. Let's be honest, the Eiffel Tower is less of a romantic symbol and more of a steel ex-boyfriend. From far away, intriguing. Up close, rusty, crowded, and full of regrets. You want ambiance? Try dodging souvenir hawkers aggressively selling blinking keychains like it's Times Square. Want a photo? Get ready to wrestle tourists who believe tripods are personality traits. And if you're thinking of dining at the overpriced restaurant inside, spoiler alert, your plate costs more than the GDP of a small island nation-state. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the overpriced snacks, claustrophobic elevators, and pigeon warfare that make this tower the most underwhelming landmark in Western Europe. And hey, before we start, smash that like button, subscribe for weekly travel regrets, and drop a comment below. What's the most disappointing monument you've ever visited? Eiffel Tower, or was it something worse? The Eiffel Tower queue, a love letter to wasted time. You arrive full of dreams. Maybe you even bought your skip-the-line ticket in advance, feeling smart, smug, organized. But as you round the corner into Champ de Mars, reality hits like a rogue baguette. There is no skip in this line. There are 3 lines, one to get in, one for the elevator, and one existential as you question your life choices. Waiting to get in the Eiffel Tower isn't an activity. It's a commitment. A long, slow burn that begins with optimism and ends with dehydration, sunburn, and listening to a toddler scream in 6 languages. You watch a couple break up, a man give up and leave. Someone faints. You're still holding on to hope. Eventually, you reach the security checkpoint. Shoes off, bag scanned, water bottle confiscated because hydration is apparently a security risk. You're herded like a mildly dangerous sheep into another line, this time under the tower's belly, where the romance of Paris becomes the sweaty armpit of tourism. And just when you think you're boarding the elevator, surprise! You're waiting again, because someone pressed the wrong button, or the lift is overloaded, or there's a brief technical pause, which feels suspiciously like a lunch break. By the time you finally get inside the elevator and ascend, you're not excited anymore. You're numb. You've been standing for 2 hours. Your feet hate you. Your soul has detached. And at the top, you'll get 5 minutes before being told to descend again through a whole new line. But hey, at least now you can say you survived the Eiffel Tower, which is probably more accurate than saying you visited it. Paris from above, or how to ruin a skyline. You finally made it to the top, you push through the crowd to the railing, expecting your heart to skip a beat. And it does, not from beauty, but from the sheer chaos of selfie sticks, elbows, and strangers breathing on your neck. You're trapped in a human terrarium 300 meters above ground, all to see a Paris that's, well, mostly beige. Here's the secret nobody tells you. The best view of Paris isn't from the Eiffel Tower, because when you're on the Eiffel Tower, guess what's not in your skyline? The Eiffel Tower. You're staring at a sea of rooftops and haze, trying to identify landmarks while dodging someone's phone swinging wildly in selfie mode. Montmartre? Tiny. The Seine? Meh. Notre Dame? Hidden behind scaffolding, if visible at all. The thing that should be the centerpiece, the Eiffel Tower itself, is noticeably, obviously, absent. It's like going to a Beyoncé concert and only hearing her backup singers.
You try to take a photo, but every angle is ruined by someone's greasy fingerprint on the glass or a blurry tourist face you didn't consent to include. You think, at least I'll get a picture to post, but back home, your photo looks like it was taken during a beige apocalypse. And the caption? Probably something dishonest like, magical view from the top. Deep down, you know the truth. The view was mid, the vibe was crowded, the experience overrated. But you'll post it anyway, because nobody goes to the Eiffel Tower for the reality. They go for the lie.
Flashing lights and broken dreams. Every night, like clockwork, the Eiffel Tower lights up, and if you're not in Paris, it sounds magical, a shimmering beacon of romance. But when you're actually there, it's less Amélie and more Las Vegas in denial. The flashing light show starts every hour on the hour after sunset and lasts exactly 5 minutes, which under normal circumstances would be fine. But in Eiffel Land, 5 minutes of aggressive strobing turns into a nightmare if you happen to be directly underneath. It's like being ambushed by a million paparazzi flashes with nowhere to run. Locals don't even look up anymore. Some tourists cry, dogs panic, and if you were hoping for a peaceful evening picnic near the Champ de Mars, forget it. The light show is less romantic sparkle and more optical assault. There's no music, no choreography, just chaotic, blinking LEDs that scream, "Look at me!" in Morse code. And the kicker, the best views of the spectacle are from outside the tower, meaning, once again, the real magic happens far away from the overpriced experience you bought into. You came to bask in the glow. Instead, you're standing directly beneath it, blinded, wondering why this iron behemoth is having a nervous breakdown every 60 minutes.
Waiting in line to say you were there. You thought Disneyland had long lines? That's adorable. At the Eiffel Tower, the queue isn't just a nuisance, it's a rite of passage, and not the fun kind. This is a full-on, slow-motion descent into existential dread. There are 3 different lines, one to get a ticket, one to pass security, and one to enter the elevator. Each one moves slower than your will to live. You'll start the day with energy and excitement, and by hour 2, you're questioning your life choices, your relationship, and the concept of vacation itself. Children cry, couples fight, solo travelers consider giving up and settling permanently in line. You'll hear at least 7 different languages being used to express the universal phrase, "Is this really worth it?" And then, plot twist, you finally reach the elevator, only to be herded in like cattle, crammed with sweaty strangers, pressed against the glass as the tower groans and creaks on the way up. If you're lucky, someone will sneeze directly into the back of your neck. All this for the privilege of going to the top of a monument you could have admired perfectly from the comfort of a nearby cafe. Instead, you've aged 10 years in line, missed sunset, and now the only thing elevated is your blood pressure.
The base of the tower is where dreams go to die. You made it to the Eiffel Tower, congratulations. Now look down. That's where the true disappointment begins. The area directly beneath the tower is a bizarre, chaotic blend of hyper-tourism, concrete desolation, and aggressive trinket hawkers that feel like they were sent from a fever dream. There's no lush garden or romantic plaza, just flat, trampled dirt surrounded by heavy fencing and temporary construction barriers that have been temporarily in place since 2017. Security zones, cement barricades, and faded directional signs give the area a nice international border checkpoint aesthetic. Then there are the vendors. Oh, the vendors. Every 2 steps, someone tries to sell you an Eiffel Tower keychain, an Eiffel Tower bottle opener, an Eiffel Tower-shaped Eiffel Tower. Some are friendly. Others follow you for entire city blocks. And the worst part? The trinkets are so tacky, you'll almost feel guilty not buying one, until you realize they're made of the cheapest metal known to man and cost 10 times what they should. If you squint,
you might spot the Eiffel Tower soaring above, but more likely, your view is blocked by a pop-up tent, a guy yelling cold beer in 6 languages, or a trash can that's been heroically overflowing since breakfast. It's less iconic monument and more tourist trap waiting for a Netflix documentary.
The top of the Eiffel Tower, also known as a steel prison. So you endured the line, survived the elevator, and finally made it to the top. The view must be incredible, right? Sort of. If you like your skyline panoramas with a generous side of metal fencing, thick grating, and finger-smudged plexiglass, you're in for a treat. The upper observation deck is enclosed tighter than a maximum security facility. There's barely room to move, let alone snap your perfect Eiffel selfie without catching someone else's elbow or ponytail in the frame. The fencing, allegedly for safety, makes it feel more like you're viewing Paris from inside a zoo enclosure. Then there's the wind. Oh, you thought you could enjoy a romantic breeze? Try violent gusts that threaten to rip your phone out of your hand and send it flying into the Seine. Tourists cling to their belongings like they're in a typhoon. And don't bother fixing your hair unless your aesthetic is blender accident. Want to get that iconic Eiffel Tower photo with the city behind you? Bad news. You're on the tower, so the tower isn't in the photo. You're just on a metal structure, taking a picture of other buildings that don't matter. Ironically, the best views of the Eiffel Tower are never from it. But by the time you realize that, you're trapped in a wind tunnel, peeking through bars, wondering why you paid 30 euros to feel like a caged bird with a postcard. City of love, but not for elevators. You plan the perfect moment, maybe even a proposal, a sunset ride to the top, champagne, city lights. Except surprise, the Eiffel Tower staff is on strike again. You might think this is a rare occurrence. It's not. Strikes at the Eiffel Tower are as Parisian as croissants. Whether it's due to labor disputes, maintenance issues, or management feuds, the tower seems to shut down more frequently than your college Wi-Fi. And when the workers strike, they don't just close the elevator, they close everything. The entrances, the platforms, the restrooms, sometimes even the whole Champ de Mars gets roped off in silent protest. You'll find yourself standing outside the monument you cross the world to see, peering through iron gates like a Victorian orphan, wondering why nobody mentioned this in the brochure. Of course, the strike won't be announced online in advance. It'll be a lovely morning in Paris until you arrive, all dressed up, only to be greeted by a handwritten sign taped to a barricade. Fermé per cause de grève. Translation, romance canceled. Try again next year. Nighttime sparkles that blind and bewilder. At night, the Eiffel Tower lights up, a glimmering spectacle designed to inspire awe, romance, and spontaneous social media uploads. Every hour on the hour, the structure bursts into a 5-minute sparkle frenzy. Sounds magical, right? Until you're standing under it. What nobody tells you is that the light show isn't elegant, it's aggressive. The flashes are blinding. The bulbs strobe like a paparazzi riot. Children cry. Pigeons flee. Tourists drop their phones trying to film it. And you're left squinting at what looks less like a Parisian fairy tale and more like a low-budget alien abduction. Add to that the sea of phones raised in unison, and you're not even watching the tower. You're watching screens. It's a surreal moment where reality is drowned in glowing rectangles, TikToks in progress, and couples awkwardly fake kissing for reals. And the irony? It's technically illegal to film the Eiffel Tower lights at night and post the footage commercially. The lighting is copyrighted. So not only is it underwhelming, it's also a legal hazard. Nothing says romance like intellectual property law. Congratulations, you bought a 19-euro souvenir that breaks in the airport. Every great tourist trap ends the same way, with overpriced, low-quality merch. And the Eiffel Tower gift shops? Absolute masters of the scam. Nestled within the monument and surrounding areas are dozens of shops where everything is shiny, flimsy, and strangely sticky.
From plastic snow globes that leak to metal models that warp at the first touch, the merchandise here is a masterclass in instant regret. You'll spot racks of Eiffel Tower t-shirts that shrink to doll size after one wash, coffee mugs with smeared paint jobs, and authentic Parisian scarves that still have a Made in China tag flapping in the wind. And just when you think you've escaped, you'll run into the unofficial market outside. Rows of guys holding towels on the ground, selling the exact same keychains, but somehow louder. They shout, bargain, follow you, and if you hesitate, offer a special deal for 10 that still costs triple what it's worth. The tower may be iconic, but the shopping experience? It's an obstacle course of buyer's remorse. At best, you'll walk away with a miniature Eiffel Tower that lights up for 2 days. At worst, you'll spend €60 on a snow globe that breaks before the flight home. Bienvenue à Paris.
Enter the tower if you survive the checkpoint. Before you can even admire the Eiffel Tower up close, you'll need to pass through what feels like the world's most disorganized security gauntlet. Bags are scanned, pockets emptied, water bottles tossed like contraband. And if you have a tripod, a sandwich, or a vaguely rebellious expression, you're in for a full interrogation. The process is slow, chaotic, and devoid of logic. Tourists shuffle like cattle through metal barricades, sweating under the sun, while guards yell instructions in a language no one understands, including the guards. Sometimes one entrance is inexplicably closed. Other times, the security line wraps around the block, blending seamlessly into a group of protesters or a family of street performers with snakes. Even when you make it past security, you're not safe. Random bag checks can still happen inside the monument. And don't even think about bringing up a drone or a pocket knife. You'll be treated like you're auditioning for the next Mission Impossible. In the end, the only thing more fortified than the tower itself is the illusion of danger. You'll spend more time being inspected than inspired. It's less City of Light and more airport terminal without the flight.
So there it is, the Eiffel Tower, a towering paradox of romance and reality. It's iconic, it's historic, it's breathtaking from a distance. But up close, it's crowds, chaos, overpriced snacks, and slow elevators that may or may not be working, depending on whether the staff is on strike or the wind is blowing the wrong way. You came for the view, you stayed because the exit line took 45 minutes. You wanted magic, you got magnet keychains and sunburn. The Eiffel Tower isn't just a monument, it's a machine. A well-oiled spectacle of expectation versus experience, where every beautiful photo hides 1,000 tiny frustrations. But maybe that's the point. Because behind every perfect Instagram post from Paris, there's a sweaty tourist just out of frame holding a €7 soda waiting for a toilet that never comes. So, should you visit the Eiffel Tower? Well, only if you want to say you survived it.